We back. Shaq and Kobe, the Dudley boys.
Drop a bomb right here.
Devon, get the table. Nah, we ain't got no table for you, but we do got a hell of a show for you today. We feel like, well, some external circumstances happened the other day, and we feel like we got to give you another tipping video. Still tipping.
So chime in. First of all, do you tip? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Do you tip? Pause.
Do you care about the service? Do you care about, or do you just tip in general? 10%, 13%? What is your opinion in general? Let us know in the comments on just overall tipping.
Just tipping.
Your total for a venti Americano is $5.50. Great. Can I pay by card? Sure. And how much would you like to tip today? Sorry, a tip?
Really, nigga?
Are waiters and waitresses valid for complaining about tip amounts? That's what I want to know. How can you complain about something that's optional?
And it's been bred in our society to be optional, by the way. Like, it ain't just something that he's just making up. He can make that shit up. It's literally optional.
The tip is optional. The tip originated, we're going to pay you a base hourly wage, and then for exceptional service as a form of gratitude, someone can express their satisfaction through a tip. But we've moved to this land of entitlement where we just think people should tip regardless. And the reason that people think we're obligated to tip is because their employers pay bad. So
pay terrible.
Well, you should tip because, you know, that's how they make their money. Let me tell you something about that. That ain't my problem. And as somebody who tips, but like I seen a post where some servers had made a board and said shitty tippers.
And they had names of customers, names of consumers and patrons on there. And actually the amount that they tipped, like they had their bill. They had a little, what was that board called? It was a little board.
Like a whiteboard with sections.
They had it sectioned off and they said how much their bill was, how much they tipped, and it had a title. Literally unprofessional as fuck. Shitty tippers.
Shitty tippers. And so
right in front of the restaurant.
Does a customer who came in and probably paid a substantial tab, because this ain't McDonald's, this ain't Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, one dude had a $127 meal and he tipped
$2.
No, he tipped 12.
12. Now he was on the shitty tip board.
He was on the shitty tip board.
He didn't give him 18% gratuity. See, that's what I'm saying. Here's my whole spiel, right? Life is about deals. Life is about sacrifices. What are you willing to tolerate? Mm-hmm. Everybody's getting shit on in some type of way.
Somebody got to get shitted on in business.
You have to.
That was the biggest takeaway I had in business. Somebody got to take the L here.
I think everybody's taking the L except the guy at the top in some form or fashion. Like, I don't think anybody is without L. Name a person in business that's without L. There's the CEO, right? Mm-hmm. He's getting paid all this. He got to run the business. He's got to make all these deals. He's got to strike these.
Sometimes he takes the L, though.
Sometimes he's going to take a L. If you have a bad year in business, he's taking the biggest L, right? So then there's the people under him, division vice presidents, you name it. I can tell you, everybody's taking fucking L's. But it's business.
But if you're a pawn, I promise you're probably taking an L.
You're taking the most L's, and you can't blame the consumer.
Especially as a server. If you chose a situation that you knew was a dice roll,
it's volatile.
What is there for you to complain about? Go pour some concrete if you just want to make some more money.
All right, and before you get into your emotional bag, because I know, shout out to the servers. There's a lot of servers out there. I grew up a cashier, restaurant business. I feel your pain, but you can't get mad at the person who it's optional for them to pay you. Who you should be mad at is Outback Steakhouse, who sells that porterhouse for $40-50 and is making their profits off of it, and they're paying you $2 an hour to serve that slab of cow.
And they telling you in your head, they telling you that you're gonna make a lot of money in tips. So it's okay if we pay you that $2 because
It's okay.
you know, you're gonna make a lot of money in tips.
There you go.
That's what they tell you.
Essentially, you're basing your whole salary off of the charity and goodwill of others. Like literally, you could just say, "Hey man, pay me a flat rate." And they've got the masses like tricked and just doofed into, oh man, if they pay us fair, then they'd have to inflate the price. They'd have to raise the menu prices so much. So what?
And that's not entirely true.
And that's not true.
It's not true.
As someone who runs restaurants, I'm very privy to profit margins.
Someone who eats at a lot of them.
Like, I'm very privy to profit margins. I understand that labor is going to be 30% of your expenses. Why do we let those places get off? That $2 an hour, what percentage of the revenue per hour is that? You letting them pay you pennies on the dollar and then you mad at somebody that doesn't give charity. That's a pretty stupid thing to be mad at.
So this actually was a Facebook post and it followed with a bunch of comments. And one of the main comments I remember is, what did Miss Lady say?
If you can't afford the tip, you don't need to eat there.
Then you should not eat there. All right, what's y'all opinion on that?
Fuck their opinion. Holla at the owner. Your owner, whoever that owner is of that business. Let's talk to your owner, the owner of the business, and let's see if he thinks that we should just leave because we didn't tip. Because he getting his. I got what I came for.
Can you imagine a server telling somebody that, like, because they didn't tip? Well, you shouldn't eat here no more, and the owner hear that shit, like,
yeah. Guess what he gonna do?
They shouldn't eat here no more.
He gonna Jazzy Jeff your ass right out the door. So he gonna put you gonna be out back of the outback.
Dog. But yeah, telling somebody that they
I don't eat Outback no more either. Fuck Outback.
Telling somebody that just spent $127 that if they can't afford their meal, then they shouldn't eat
here
because they only gave you a $12 tip.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And the one girl says, it's not as easy as y'all make it sound. Like y'all act like everybody can just up and quit and find another job. You can. Finding a job is literally the easiest thing in the world right now.
So we have a culture in capitalism, in Jingen. The same culture that set forth the right for you to be able to pay people what you feel for a tip.
Yeah.
It's the exact same culture that bred everything, every job, every business entity. They need employees.
And they have an open door policy. There's no penalty for quitting.
I'm telling you.
You can have a job tomorrow. And if you don't have a job and you say it's not easy, then I tell you what. And every person who subscribes and send me a message, if you need a job, I will go create a business tomorrow. You hold me to this.
All right.
I will go create an LLC and we're going to create a painting company. But I'm only going to pay you $2 an hour plus tips.
So you better paint your ass off, boy.
Hey, I got you. You let Outback do it.
You better paint your ass.
Let me do it.
Tips and painting is crazy.
Hey, and after that, we're going to start a mechanic service. And we're going to pay you $2 an hour plus tips.
Maybe $3 an hour.
No. I'm not Outback. I'm not Roof Chris. I'm paying you $2 an hour plus tips. And Bobby will pay you $3 for his business.
I'll pay you $3 plus tips.
He gonna start a lawn care service.
Mm-hmm.
$3.50 plus tips.
Plus tips.
We got
you gonna make some good money though.
We got
especially if you really clip that grass. I'm talking about if you take some scissors out there and you start cutting the grass, they gonna tip the shit out of you.
We don't even D if you watching this, we about to pay you $2 an hour plus tips.
Plus tips, brother.
We got you.
But in all seriousness, though, one thing that I wish people would take everything into consideration. When we talk about under tipping, why don't we talk about over tipping?
Over tipping is a thing. The dude on my post literally said, I worked in the industry for 10 to 15 years and I used to make $50 an hour. Well, let me tell you something, Mr. $50 an hour. You were just lucky and you were extremely overpaid. Because I don't care how many refills you give me, it ain't never going to be worth $15 an hour. I meant 50. It ain't never 50. It ain't never gonna be worth $50 an hour. But hey, man, I'm cool. You got your rocks off. Don't think that that's the norm. You're an anomaly.
It's not the norm, definitely. But for the people that are underpaid, my only point, or consider themselves underpaid, my point is you really do have nights that you make $50 an hour. Hell, if you get real lucky and Keith Lee walks into your restaurant and, oh yeah, I tipped him $1,000 because the customer service was incredible and I tipped him $1,000. If you were that person and you just made $1,000 an hour, what you got to say about that?
Complain about it, yeah.
Me, I overtip.
You ain't gonna bust it down with the homies. That's waitering with you.
I overtip all the time. If they say get 13, I might get 20%. Where do you calculate that in your underpayment ratio? You don't.
Hey,
you just don't. You don't care at that point. You just come on, stop complaining. If you don't like what you're getting paid, go pour some concrete. Like I said, we need people all the time pouring that concrete. I'm telling you, you're gonna make good money pouring concrete.
Like that sound like, could you imagine though? Like, just imagine having to, like, you scrutinizing somebody. Like the girl said, if you can't afford here, don't eat here. Imagine being in a situation where you have to ask people to pay you, and you telling the person that's paying $100, $200 for a meal, you telling them they can't afford it. Like, the irony in that situation is just like the hypocrisy there. Like, you don't hear yourself. Like, you sound crazy. You sound like a fucking nut. Like, I'm paying more than you making tonight, and you like, yo, if you can't afford a tip, don't eat here. No, if you can't afford to pay your bills, don't work here. That's the better conversation. And stop. And this is another thing we do too. And I'm gonna get your opinion on this.
Okay.
Why do we always punch down? Like, we blame the thousandaires for problems that millionaires created.
And so forth and so on. I see what you're saying.
We never attack the company and say, hey, man, y'all are just shitting on me. We just take the bad deal. Again, all of those businesses that I referenced, I'm going to start them the first time somebody inbox me, and we're going to go to task. $2 an hour plus tips. And I guarantee you, I won't get any inboxes. Nobody wants that deal.
No, you ain't cutting that grass or pouring that concrete for $2 an hour. I'm telling you that now, plus tips.
Plus tips.
I'm telling you, you ain't doing it.
You want it because it's an easy job. Of course, you got to work. You're going to get tired. You got to be on your feet. I get it. But for the most part, it's not rocket science. It's an easy job. It's literally called hospitality. And I've done it. I've been in the industry forever. Like, I'm cool.
I've never done it for that reason.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, you don't have to have
for that reason.
You don't have to do a lot of thinking. You do it because it's easy. And now you want us to, you're trying to demand a wage. I'm off it.
I'm good on it too. But again, people are so easily controlled and manipulated. So it's when I remember one thing I said on the post, it's a young person mindset. This younger generation, in a sense, and me, I'm a middle child. So sometimes I get caught up in that younger generation mindset, and I also get caught up in that older generation mindset because I'm just in the middle of both. So I get it, but it really is, you're being controlled. And like he said, you don't know who to punch. So you're just trying to punch the easiest thing. You scared to go tell your boss, bro, you shitting me.
There you go.
So I'm going to get mad at the consumer who really ain't got nothing to do with this. I'm just hungry.
The consumer's job literally is to get the best deal you can possibly get. Like, there's countries in the world where, like, if you don't negotiate, they take it as an insult. Like, so literally, you just trying to find the best deal.
Sometimes, most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah.